So I'm sure not everybody knows what ARTE is. ARTE is the French French and German, sorry, cultural channel, and it's been airing for 20 years. 20 years of innovation, making German and French work together. That's the biggest innovation in history. So ARTE has been broadcasting for 20 years. It's been working on the web, especially with innovation, for 5 years. And the idea is, it's not about images only. It's about content. And now it's not only about content. It's about vectors. We're a broadcaster. We're broadcasting images. But our web operations go deeper than that. We're not only broadcasting images, we're taking them the closest possible to the people who watch them. We bring it the contents where people take them. So there's something schizophrenic about managing web operation at the broadcasters. You have mass media on one side, and I would say micro media on my side, on the web. I'm not addressing a whole huge mass of people. I'm addressing communities, and I'll tell you how. So there's something to understand, that online we're dealing with different communities, different interests, and different, I would say, uses, different technologies. So I heard about polyaesthetics. I would say we're in the idea of polyaesthetics, exploring every universe, every technological universe, every aesthetic universe, every meaning universe. That's how we deal. I'll show how we work this way. We work on 3 directions at least. And given that innovation is part of the whole story, innovation in technologies, innovation also in storytelling. So what is ARTE? What is ARTE? ARTE is a broadcaster that goes on the web, on connected TV, on smartphones, on tablets, and of course, on TV. That's, for instance, La Minute Vieille, which is humoristic short stories. They're playing like 2 million times in France, and little in Germany. That's for cross borders. We don't have the same humor, but we work together. ARTE is also on Facebook, has a lot of fans. ARTE does a lot of replay. Our catch-up TV works very well. We had like 600,000 replays on a single story, on a single film. ARTE has a lot of followers on Twitter, but we got no images. Still, we got no images. So I guess we'll find them in a minute. I'm sorry. So if you give me just 1 minute, I'll try to understand.
I consulted on that one.
Mm-hmm. It's too bad, because we still need to have a few pictures of the whole thing. So we'll do, I guess, without the pictures for a while.
I don't know why, but there's some kind of curse when you work in narrative storytelling. Yeah, you were at the conference 3 weeks ago, the DOC conference, where we had to present transmedia cases, and Annika were actually moderating, and there was no projector, and it was in a cinema, so they couldn't just find a new. It was a Danish Film Institute, and the projector gave out, and we were presenting 3 transmedia cases. Yeah. It did? So transmedia experiences, for some reason, whenever we do something really interesting, there's always technical problems. Yeah, maybe that's why, yeah. Curse of the demo gods? Yeah. I like that.
I'm cursed.
I'm going to write that down.
I'm cursed, but it's not going to last forever.
That's why George said you have to test it out on paper. Yeah. Curse of the demo gods.
So, seems to be back. Okay. So, you have. So, we're also on Twitter, on YouTube, on Dailymotion. we got a lot of mobile sites, structural mobile sites, but also even for events like Avignon. We, of course, have arte.tv, which is a huge website gathering German productions and French productions. So the three main lines are interaction, comprehension, and immersion. I will go very fast on interaction and comprehension to focus on immersion. Interaction, we got a show, a daily show that goes on air at 8 in the evening, and this show is like a debate, and the debate we take it on every single platform, and we concentrate all the input on every single platform. That means on HBB TV, for instance, you got live tweets coming up, you got comments coming up, and you got the option to vote for a question, yes or no. Usually, that's for the HBB TV usage. You can play with your smartphone, interact with the show. You can also answer questions on your iPhone and have restitutions, visual restitutions. Quite simple. On the tablet, you have data visualization of the whole results. That means we got a huge debate coming on every single platform. That's for interaction. I'll go fast because it's not the purpose today. Comprehension. You know what we usually do on a TV channel. We got a film. We can go a little further on the website. That used to be that way everywhere. We go a little deeper because we now think that we're not telling the same story. We need to give more input, more information about the movie, about the film. That's the point. But we need to tell another story. We're not an encyclopedia. This is a story about Goldman Sachs. It's a thriller about Goldman Sachs that we broadcasted. But we needed to have another story on the website. And the story we built was like rebuilding the supermarket of finance. You know, Goldman Sachs does everything for everybody, for every kind of money. So we reinterpreted the whole movie and the whole film and all that we could gather to fill up a department store called the Supermarché de la Finance. That's another story about Goldman Sachs. We worked with the producer, but we also worked with other authors to enrich the experience. So that's going deeper, comprehension. Then we have the big subject now. I do not have a lot of interactive things to show you because the project is just building, but I'll show you the teaser. If we can have.
Can we have the light dimmed?
This. Can we have
because
sound?
This is really beautiful.
Actually, there's sound. I can make it. I can do it.
Wow. Chadi, take it from the start.
A ship sunk in the Mediterranean Sea 350 years ago. It was the master ship of the French Navy at that time. The ship lies 100 meters under the sea, 90, 100. And there's an excavation going on, and we're working on that excavation. The guy actually doesn't do this. You don't hit the ground and the sea that way. There are a lot of things that can be broken there. So, the question is, why did La Lune sink? We give two options on our project, two experiences. First, I would say classical, three-axis rich story just to tell all about this operation. First, La Lune sank. We don't know why. So we're going to tell why. We're going to try to tell how life was aboard. There were 1,000 guys aboard. Troops, people cooking, whatever. We're also going to tell what's its secret, given that we can find it and supposing it has one. That's like a bet. There's also, you saw it, a scientific adventure. We got archaeologists going down the sea to visit a site that has never been seen, never been visited. So they can crash things when they walk. They can search things forever without finding them. So there's a scientific challenge. And this challenge, we're addressing it with, we're giving it to you. We're showing it to you. First, so we're getting objects out of the sea. We're also mapping the whole surface, the whole ground under the sea, to find these objects, to find the relationship between the objects from where we found them, where they were supposed to be, what they were used for. So this is the scientific adventure. Then there is a technological challenge. This challenge was to first help the archaeologists rebuild the site so they can understand where they can land, where they can search, where they can find everything about this boat under the sea. It's very deep. You can only stay 5 minutes if you dive. So we had to find an idea, and this is the idea. The answer was technology. So Dassault Systèmes did the mapping of the whole site. They shot high HD photographs of the whole site, HD movies of the whole site, so they can build it up and help the archaeologists prepare their mission. So we're building on this technological challenge. You see this. You see special cameras, HD, to just rebuild the environment. So that's one part of the story, which is quite classical. I would say it's like a making of, the making of the sinking, the making of the excavation, and the making of the whole story. 4 boats on the surface. The operation mobilized the Navy, French scientists, TV producers, Grand Angle that works with us, and ARTE. So the other option we offer is an immersive experience. And I'll show you the first images we just produced. So the idea is to put you in the nude suit. You see that kind of scaphandre? Okay, you can drive it. Try to drive it. That can. If you could turn off the light, it would be easier because we are deep under the sea.
Yeah, that's nice.
Okay, this is completely recreated, and this is the screencast of what you could do now and what you're going to do in a few months connecting to our website. The sound is not real. I can still talk while he's playing. There's nothing really written is gonna happen. So the idea now is first to learn how to move under the sea. So there's gonna be two missions. First, learn how to pilot this thing called the nude suit. It's like the teaser part of the project. Then we'll be able to reconfigure missions. Go and fetch a cannon. It was supposed to be at the head of the boat, so try to figure out where the head of the boat is and find it. You'll see what the boat looks like under the sea. It's not really easy. So it can last forever. I'll go faster. So you can see the nude suit and another robot. So you understand this is like a really big operation. This is the representation of the boat. What is left and visible? The cannons and a big amount of dust. So there's like an adventure to come for you. So this was made possible by the producer that took us into this specific adventure. There was an opportunity given to us by Grandtank Productions, which is who is working with us, giving us the pictures, helping us to build stories. There's a big technology challenge given to us by Dassault System that provides us with this technology, which is 3D called 3DS, inspired by the whole suite of software they're designing for designing products, prototyping products. This is the biggest 3D manager you can have, but it's industrial. And the storytelling belongs to us and is still to come for a big part. So what are we learning here? We're trying to match the industry, which is the industry brought by Dassault, the industry brought by the broadcast, and like any single idea we could have as craftsmen, because on the web at ARTE, we're craftsmen. There's nothing we really know. We're learning every time, every single job. There's no technology we really know. We're trying to take to ARTE any new technology, knowing that we do not know those technologies. So we have to make people match. We have to make people work together. As we're not specialists, we do not have a R&D lab, and we're really a few of us to work on those projects. For ARTE, for this project, there are like 3 people working on it. So it's very light. We get to be very smart and to make industry match with craftsmanship, I would say, prototyping. So I could show you some other projects. This is a promise. What you saw is a promise. This promise relies on Dassault. That's going to help us a lot, and relies on our capacity to tell the whole story and to take the people into coming from a classical experience, you know, the history side, the scientific side, and the technological side, take them to the 3D experience. So that's really a challenge. The people who watch our website, our internet users, are like 45 as an average, which is very, very old for the internet. Our TV viewers are 60 as an average, so that gives you an idea what the challenge is for us. But it's not the only challenge we're dealing with. We're dealing with a lot of other stories, you know, interactive comics, which are not really comics. I'll show you. how do you reinvent comics? How do you insert video into comics? How do you create little interactivity with comics? How do you densify a comic? That was the idea with this one, which is quite sensible topic about the relationship between Japan and China. And you can see I'm trying to give you the right. There's sound also, and it's like a visit of contemporary Japan, thinking of what their position with the Second World War. How do we deal with their past? As we do a lot of work on this side, on this very issue. So I'm sorry everything is in French or in German, but it's beautiful. This one, I like it.
Lui, c'est le dessinateur, Vincent.
You can play sounds of the different actors. I mean, it's like a journalist going to Japan, giving impressions, living his adventure, and giving it back to us. Sorry. So you see, I like the way we use the video in the drawing. Well, that's not R&D, but it's beautiful. We also have this one, which is a drone report in a city in Lens, in northern France, drone with radio documentary
C'est ce qui est fait naturellement,
stuck to them.
sans artifice. C'est ce que la nature nous donne, quoi, en fait.
So you can visit
C'est même pas ce que l'homme crée lui-même, c'est ce que la
the
nature
city
nous apporte, en fait, qui est beau.
as our reporters
Et qui sont
visited.
préservés, en fait.
They give you the story instead of using photographs. We've been hiring a drawer that went there with them to draw the story and not photograph it. So that's kind of things we like. And this is a mad project. I'll show it to you. Oh, there's like a problem. I'll try to show it. Yeah. What's that?
Humain des années 2010, vous vous comportez comme les insectes.
It's like my mic's being hacked, and a voice is telling me, is talking to me from the future, and telling me how technologies can take me very far from where I wanted to go. It's an alert. It's an alert about, the singularity theory, the transhumans. It's a story about transhumans and about what today, in our real life, is like giving us an insight of what could happen and how are we telling this story. It's like a linear story, multi-screen linear story, with points where you can go or you can go further, but it's quite linear and multi-window. What's interesting in it is that the webcast of this operation was based on alerts, on Twitter alerts. So just you get a voice from the future telling you get an alert from the future that wants to tell you what your future is going to be. So we have videos that were taken from the rushes of the film we dealt with. And we also got photographs taken from a group of photographs called Tendance Floue that work on the present. They have a very, very specific eye and they work on the present. They work on addictions, on any contemporary issues. And we wanted to confront those photographs from today to the idea that we could have of our future. So I invite you just to watch it. it's gonna last forever. So I'm not gonna let it play, but just watch it and see what you feel when you see those images. You can play this video, for instance, to have something.
Inside the cap here, we have a set of light sources and light detectors.
I say, how many of you,
And you stop this
would
story,
be willing to have
and
a
the
brain
whole
implant
thing is
if it
working
meant that you
by
could
itself.
instantly
So-
understand and speak
So
You
you got
see-
two film commenting each other, or one film
No,
commenting
you
the
got
other?
one film and intrusions of other elements
Yeah.
picked up from the web or picked up from the production. I mean, we got 4 parts. It's quite long. It's like an hour and a half. But what was really interesting is that intrusion in your computer. You're not with the player. You're not choosing what's happening. It's happening and taking place on your screen, on your computer. That's quite interesting. So I'm not going very deep in every project. I'm sorry, but we got so many projects, and they're so different that I can go deeper into them. And we usually don't go very deep into the projects because we have no time, because we're linked to the broadcast. We can, it takes us from 1 year to 3 years to make a film at ARTE. We cannot be on that agenda, on that timing, just because between 1 year and 3 years, the technological choices you've made, they're not valid anymore. So we usually work 3 months, 6 months, 1 year on a project, on a big project, but never more. And we need to experience a lot of things just because we're paid for that. But we're linked to the screen, to the display, to the broadcast. So there's a timing. This project was made in 3 months because it needed to stick to the broadcast. Opération Lune was supposed to be on air in December. It's been delayed to May, so we still have until May to build the project. Otherwise, I would have showed it to you, but it's not ready yet because the film is not ready. So that's our limit. We're creative. We're supposed to experiment a lot of things, but we have a problem of time. We also have a problem of money sometimes. That's not the main point, the main issue.
But I think that's why we really love you, Chadi, because that means ARTE work with external people, and also means that they can take in projects like, okay, we can do that in 4 years, but they can actually work fast. The comic we saw with the Anne Frank and with kind of the China and Second World War, I remember they consulted me about what they could do, and they were really under time pressure because they needed to produce. So they tested out ideas much more rapidly, and that was actually, I think, for them very effective. So we're really happy that ARTE is here in the landscape because they're testing out both technology and narrative ways, and they're not frightened of trying to take a project and let's see if it works.
What's interesting in ARTE is we're talking about culture usually, but isn't it culture? I mean, these technologies, they're part of our culture. Yeah. Probably not my parents, but my culture is mostly technology. Yeah, I mean, technologies are everywhere in my life. Now it's not something external. So ARTE is now just thinking about technologies as a part of the culture. We're just working on a magazine that could look at the news, the trends, from a geek's point of view, from somebody like me that just integrated technologies. So it's not. We're not at the nerds era. We're at the geeks era. I mean, it's not a problem to love technologies. It's not a problem to enhance your cultural experience using technologies. There's nothing wrong about it, and we do not separate this cultural environment made by technologies. We do not separate it from classical culture. It's part of it now.
I think was a bit the discussion we also had in the start with Jason talked about what could be accepted actually experiences for broadcast or website. And also what Jay Boulder talked about, kind of now this is just part of our lives, so it's part of our culture, and it's also part of having fragmented storytellings or having non-mobile forms. I completely agree. But Chadi, we are just so happy that we have a broadcaster saying that. Can't we give her another hand? I think you're doing such a great work. I think we take a couple of questions, and then we're going to see. Then you all been very patient, and we're sorry that the air's been we had more guests than we thought, which is great. In a second, we'll go in, and some people will work for 24 hours creating new ideas. And they're competing in some categories where one of them is prototyping. There's only one creative constraint and one dogma rule, which is whatever idea they come up with connected devices must kind of push the way we live our lives today. They must come up with something that changes how we do things or think things. We also have a prize for this 24-hour marathon. If someone in here hasn't signed up and would like to develop for 24 hours, you can still do it. It's an open space, so you can decide in like 20 minutes if you want to do it or not. We also got a prize, which is Mobile Height, our mobile cluster here, and a design company called Swep. So we have some very good prizes for people competing as well. I think there's going to be anything from students, Karen, up to professionals from Sony. I think it's a lot of different people who signed up to do this competition. So just to tell you that after the questions here, we go in and get an introduction to that. And then we'll go back here, the ones who want to hear about artificial intelligence and learning and kind of open frame learning systems. But let's take a couple of questions for you, Chadi. And thank you for showing us the 3D demo. That was really very, very generous.
Yeah, hello.
Hello.
I'm a film editor, and I'm very, very curious. How many editors are working on this kind of project compared to a classical program? Or
This one?
yeah. Or is it all random?
Completely random, you know. I can show you random things. We also have some. This is a quite light project, but we use the film's editors to work on it, and the film maker was piloting the whole thing. So it was quite easy to go fast, but it took, I would say, we had two editors, the filmmaker, two editors, a writer that rewrited the story, a developer, at least, community management. There were like 6 persons full time for 3 months, and the images were shot already. We did not have to shoot any additional picture.
Do we have another question? Yeah.
When you make these sort of projects, are you challenging yourselves to be sort of way ahead of the viewers, or are you just doing something that you think the viewers would like?
There are 2 lines. We got to be innovative, and we got to be in the web's environment, in the web ecosystem. We need to have web projects, real web projects. Producers, when they come to us, they usually offer us films to display on the web. I'm not sure that's really compatible in a web ecosystem. So we need to be innovative and deep into the web. Ideally, we have a story. We'll see to that. But so usually, we try to find the new idea, one good idea on those 2 lines. If we're not using an innovative technology, so let's be innovative in the storytelling, but we need to have something new to offer. The idea is not to be far ahead. The idea is to be just ahead of what's being done, because we're paid to create. ARTE is spending 2/3 of its budget in creation. That's creation. But creation on one line or another. Innovation, storytelling. Let's choose or take both if we can. But that's our mission, to create. But we're not a R&D lab. R&D lab. We're not that. we're a broadcaster, so we need to address our public, to take care to take its interactions for what they're worth, to learn from the public, and when we have good audience, we're just happy. It's a real good reward, but it's only a reward. If we don't have any audience, okay, we can live with it.
I actually also think, Chadi, the reason that you're so inspiring and innovative is also because you're actually working with two cultures, German or French, for example. And it's really, when a broadcaster has this kind of barriers or challenges, a bit like Swiss TV, who has three actually cultural within they have to produce content for, they have to get very creative and they have to start thinking, how can we do this differently? We have to cut it down now and go to the next room. Remember, there's a lecture here again. Yeah, let's give Chadi a hand again.